Really, what I tend to start off with whenever I explain astronism is the word astronality, because astronism in ways is not like other belief systems, because I see it as having an emotional basis, a basis in experience rather than just belief, and also a basis, in experience rather than just an event having occurred, or someone having received some type of revelation. And really, I do think this sort of emotional basis to astronism is one of its unique aspects, really. And this emotional attachment to the night sky, which is what astronality refers to, I think has been felt by the vast majority of humans, throughout history. And this is what the sort of prehistoric side to astronism and the astronic tradition to which it belongs. This is where its origins lie. This is where beliefs about the stars emerge from our experience of wonder, happiness, hope, and even sometimes fear when we look up at the stars and begin to wonder what is out there. Is our future up there, or is our sort of destiny? But they were the first people to really sort of, in a way, kind of like carve out like a distinct tradition of creativity, really, with regards to the stars. So around 40,000 BCE is where I trace this astronic tradition back to. I think the Upper Paleolithic goes from around that, maybe more like 50,000 BCE to around 17,000 BCE or 15,000 BCE, somewhere around there. So it's sort of on the, it's on the older end of the Upper Paleolithic, really, rather than the sort of later end of it. Astronism then can kind of be understood, like you said in the intro, kind of a modern sort of a modern form, really, of this very prehistoric, very ancient prehistoric form of belief and sort of practice as well, but for obviously a modern audience. So we talk about space exploration a lot. Obviously, we don't see rockets and things like that in these prehistoric paintings, and things like that. So it's a different type of astronic religion, but it is still connected, of course. But as we move deeper into astronism, we see that there is really a fundamental assertion that sort of props astronism up, which is that the astronomical world is the primary existential source of humanity. What I mean by that is that outer space is intertwined at the most fundamental level with who we are as a species, where we came from and where we are heading, essentially. And of course, like I mentioned before, in other religions, this existential source might be God. It might be the terrestrial world, the natural terrestrial world. But for us in astronism, and likely for these other people in prehistoric and ancient times, it is the stars. It is outer space. There's a very sort of practical, survivalistic aspect to it of, if we don't sort of expand to different planets, we are leaving ourselves very vulnerable to something similar to what happened to the dinosaurs, something similar to that. So again, there are different levels that you can sort of engage with that. How far do you want to go? I mean, one of my life goals is to get to that highest condition of myself, that sort of understanding of the universe, in the cosmos, in a way that I don't know, where I can feel fulfilled, by the end of my life, that I can say I've tried to do everything that I can to engage with it, in all different ways. I've never, closed any doors.
And you've built it like this too, right? Where it's not dogmatic. There is a process of adding new ideas and theories into this whole system, right?
Yeah, and a little bit later on, you'll be able to see that it's actually Astronism. I like to think of it as like a machine. It's like it's like cogs going round. And sometimes cogs come out, and then other new ones come back in to keep the mechanism going. I do believe that the decisions that we make now will affect future generations going forward for many, many generations. So they could be looking back at us and sort of cursing at us if we, make the wrong decisions right now. I think we're at we're at a really crucial time, and I don't think majority of humanity realize that sometimes, how crucial a time we actually do live in. One little concept that we talk about sometimes in Astronism is called the middle humanity, which is what we are at the moment, where we know planets and galaxies exist beyond our own. The first humanity did that for us. The early astronomers and things like that, but we're not quite yet at the humanity where they can explore to the stars and do all these great things that we're talking about. There was this kind of very close-knit connection between these civilizations and the planets and, the outer space, the astronomical world, I like to call it, which I think we've lost, really. Again, that's what I've kind of founded Astronism for, is to kind of regain this sort of close connection to the stars. I think the more that we've learned about how big the universe is, the more, distant these things have become in our minds as well. Like you were saying before about, the planet was 46 billion light years away or whatever. I did it this year in order to create the dictionary, the institutional dictionary of Astronism, which I published in March, which was a product of me just kind of going away for, a couple of months and just exploring every aspect of Astronism that currently exists. And I was never able to do that, a few years ago. When I was writing the Omnidoxy, these inspirations came sort of uncontrollably. I couldn't control when they came. I couldn't control, it could be the middle of the night. I would wake up and I'd have to spend 2 hours writing. I couldn't get back to sleep because I was having idea after idea after idea about anything to do with Astronism, really, all these different aspects of it. In Astronism, we see divinity as a subject to be discussed, as a subject to be constantly open to continual discussion, rather than sort of like a dogmatic. We have beliefs, you might have read that Astronism's a panentheistic religion, for example. You might have read that somewhere. That is true. There are beliefs within Astronism that the divine intervenes in the cosmos. To what degree that a divine entity is able to do that or does do that is up for discussion. But again, this is the whole point of having Astronism as a kind of open philosophy in a way, is to try and explore these ideas more as time goes on. We believe that the solution to these problems is to sort of orient ourselves on cosmocentrism, so to consider the cosmos as central rather than ourselves or the natural world or even Earth. And again, to reach our highest conditions through the opportunities that have been provided to us. The outcome of this individually is that, we will have made the most of our limited existence of our corporeal lifetime. This is the astronic tradition that I was talking about at the beginning. This is all the different branches of it. And more needs to be added to this probably. This is just something that I've, tried to create.
Wow.
Yeah, this is so. This is where I wanted to talk about the ultimation word. This slide is probably at this stage the most complicated that Astronism gets. This slide. This essentially is the nuts and bolts, the mechanism of Astronism, trying to sort of depict is the right word. Depict what they see around them with what they see up in the night sky. Essentially, that's what astromorphism means. It's a similar word to anthropomorphism, which you'll be more familiar with. It's a similar concept to that, but it's just in relation to the stars. This is another aspect of my work that I'm doing at the moment, because I'm doing my PhD at the moment in freedom of religion.
Cool.
And how different governments around the world restrict religion through their recognition systems.